Hey y'all, this is Halisi.
And this is Rick from Our Black Utopia.
What are we going to talk about today?
Today we're going to talk about all the things that our parents told us about money that were just wrong.
Dead wrong that kept us from debt freedom and financial freedom.
Yeah, you got to have freedom. So what would you say is the craziest thing you've ever been told?
You know, I remember when I was about 18 years old and I had my first checking account, right? So,
Okay.
and back in those days, we didn't have debit. Well, yeah, we did have debit cards, but we still wrote checks a lot. And my aunt told me that I could write a check today, and then if I didn't get paid for a day or two, not to worry about it because it would take a couple of days until the check hit the bank,
It used to be that way. Yeah, it was
right?
that way.
And so I think they call that floating a check.
Floating a check. Yes, a lot of
So,
people did that.
right? So basically, she was saying it's okay to spend money that you don't have. What is the craziest thing that you ever heard?
There was a lot of crazy things. I mean, I remember people doing stuff like putting their credit or using their children, young children, for credit, putting their name and their social security number in there and using that kind of stuff. There was all kind of different things like that because everything didn't hit the institutions like it hits now. So they always felt that there was plenty of time to take care of it. But today, not anymore.
No way, no way. And back in our day, we weren't even born with social security numbers, right? You had
You
to
had to go get one.
apply and
Yeah.
get a social security number. But now, well, actually, even when our youngest son was born, he got a social security number right away.
Yeah.
So yeah, can't do that so much anymore.
Nope. Nope.
Yeah. Some other crazy things are just make your payments. I
Yeah.
think a lot of folks got the just make your payments. Um, you know, get what you need to get, just make your payments on time. You need to get that furniture, girl, just go down there and get your
Go
credit,
and get your
right?
credit.
Get your credit. And they never mentioned the interest rate. Just get your credit and make sure you can make those payments and make your payments on time to keep your credit good.
Sometimes I didn't really think that they understood what the interest rates and stuff was all about. You ever think of that? A lot of times it was like just being able to get what you want to get when you want it, was kind of suffice the moment,
You're probably right. I think that they did, like, I know my parents did understand what interest rates were, but I don't think they took the time to add up how much extra money they were paying for things. My mom said I was tight. I was always tight with money. I was the one who got allowance, but then forgot the allowance at home so that mom would have to pay for the ice cream.
Okay.
So,
Interesting.
so when I went to get my first car, I actually did say, I just negotiated the price. He kept asking me, how much did I want to pay per month? I said, that is irrelevant. I want to know how much I'm paying for the car. So he wasn't ready for me.
But there was just a lot of things. I remember growing up and my mother didn't really deal with bills. My father took care of all the bills. So it was pretty much when she got home with her paycheck, she gave it to him. He put it in the account, and the account had his name on it. It didn't have her name on it. And that was something weird to me that I could never understand. It didn't have Mr. and Mrs. It had, his name and his name only, and he can only sign the checks and do different things like that. So, I mean, but that was the way it was looked at because the man usually took care of all that kind of stuff.
Well, one of the things that I have to say, I probably was in a little bit more of a modern family because even though
Probably.
my grandparents were probably your parents' age, my grandmother's name was on the checkbook, but my grandfather still wrote all the checks. Now, she knew how to write checks, and in a pinch, she could write a check. And after he passed away, she did write the checks. And my mom helped sometimes just because of memory issues. But yeah, so maybe they were a little bit more modern.
I think so.
All
I
right.
think so.
Some of the other silly things that we used to do that kept us in debt and away from financial freedoms. I don't even know if this still exists back in the day.
Okay.
girl, just put it on layaway.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Does layaway still, do people still do that?
So they still have layaway during Christmas time, that I'm sure
Wow.
of.
Okay.
But I know even stores like TJ Maxx would have layaway
It can't be your
anytime.
bigger stores don't do that, I don't think.
I don't know. I don't.
Huh.
I
That's
don't
something to
know.
look at. I'm going to look into that.
But any of you who do not know or remember what layaway is, basically it was short-term credit that the store extended to you, and usually it was at a flat rate, not at an interest rate.
But you
So
paid on it.
you paid on time. So say you bought $500 worth of Christmas toys on, I don't know, November 30th. Then you would have the 25 days or so to pay it off, and you pay weekly, assuming that you got paid weekly, and you put down a down payment. So if it were 500, you'd put down 100.
Yeah, and then you make payments on it until
It was
the
paid off.
date it was supposed to be. They gave you a certain time that you had to pay it off.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. And then they charge you like, I don't know, $20 for the privilege or $30. I don't know. I don't remember.
It was a weird situation. That whole thing. I mean, we got toys and stuff, but it was like layaway.
Basically, layaway was encouraging bad behavior and encouraging you to spend money that you don't have,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I used to do it with school time, school clothes.
Oh, yeah.
You remember? We used to put the school clothes on layaway, and it was kind of crazy because we really could have written a check. So, the other silly thing that my parents told me, cash was king. That's what they said. Cash is king. So, pay with a credit card before you use your cash.
Well, see, my mother never had a credit card. And my father, I remember the first credit card he ever had was Bank Americard. And I don't know what the limit of it was or anything. They didn't go through all that kind of stuff with us, you know. I mean, I had uncles that would buy new cars every year. But they never, sat down and talked to you about, okay, this is what you have to do. It was just, we bought a new car. And it's like, oh, everybody's excited because, they got the brand new Buick or whatever it was that they were driving at
Right.
the time. But they got a new one every year. And we didn't know if they financed it, how they financed it, who they financed it with. I do remember one time my mother and father actually taking out a loan with a company called Household Finance Corporation. And they took a loan to buy Christmas toys.
Oh.
Yeah. I do remember that one time, and I came across it by accident because they wouldn't want us to know anything like that. But yeah,
And so that was one of the mistakes that parents made, of not talking to you about money.
they didn't educate us. No.
And so we have decided that we are going to educate our kids. And so every month, all of our kids are adults. Every month we have a family finance call, and we talk about our estate, we talk about money, we talk about staying out of debt, and everything that they need to know to make sure that whatever we pass on to them is going to be in good hands. And so the bottom line is my parents never had a financial plan. My parents never had a financial plan. Did yours?
No, they didn't, and they probably weren't taught because their parents probably didn't have that either. So, but it has to stop somewhere, and it has to stop and pick up for others to learn, and that's why we took it upon ourselves to say, hey, we need a paradigm shift. Something's got to be different. Something has to be different because there's no need on putting together a situation where you have generational wealth, not health, generational
Or both.
wealth,
We want health too.
and both, yeah, together, and the people that you're leaving stuff to don't understand anything about how to save,
How
how
to
to
manage.
invest, how to manage their money, how to make their money grow. It's a moot point if you don't do that.
So on this channel, we talk about money, travel, retiring abroad.
And building generational wealth.
In the past, we've used a term, consumer debt, and we decided to look that up. And so We have been using that term incorrectly. When we say consumer debt, we meant uncollateralized, high interest debt like payday loans and credit cards, what would be considered short term loans.
Short-term loans.
We were not considering mortgage loans and maybe even student loans when we were talking about consumer debt. So we will use the proper terminology and be very clear going forward. So how do you get to a debt-free life? And I want to tell you folks, when we became debt-free, it was like waiting to exhale,
Yeah, it was.
right?
And it felt good to suck in that oxygen.
Right? All of those bills are gone. They're
Yeah.
gone. They're gone. And the only thing that's left is a mortgage.
Yeah.
So how did we do it? There are two kind of popular methods that you've probably heard of, the snowball method and the avalanche method. One, the snowball method, just you take the lowest debt and you start paying that off first. The avalanche method, you take the credit card with the highest interest,
rate.
right?
Yes.
And you start paying that off first, right? So you make your minimum payments on everything. And then the one that you choose to work on, you put your extra money towards that. And when that's paid off, all of the money that you were using to pay off that credit card, you use towards the next one, and so on and so
on,
forth.
yeah.
Snowballing.
And be true to whichever method you use. Just be true to it. You have to be true to it. You have to be true to yourself.
Yeah. And I don't know that one is better than the other. I think for me, I think that paying off that small one first and saying, I don't have that credit card anymore,
That's all right.
psychologically
Feels good.
felt good to me. But whatever makes sense for you, choose the method that works for you. So we are not licensed financial advisors. We are financial educators, and we always suggest that you do your own research.
Yes. Please do your own research. And if you feel that you need a financial advisor, feel free to go out and get one. Just do your due diligence.
Yes.
What do you think if people need extra help?
Well, you're in luck because it's springtime and we have our spring spending cleanup challenge coming up May 6th. May 6th? May 6th, right? And we're only accepting a certain amount of folks, so you want to sign up now. It's going to be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, group coaching, assignments every day. We're going to analyze our spending. We're going to get it under control, and we're going to make sure we have a plan to get rid of debt and get closer to financial freedom.
Yes, and we all need a plan.
Yes.
You have to have a plan. If you find this information useful, give it a thumbs up.
Subscribe and hit that notification bell.
Yes, so you will know when we post new videos.
See y'all. Bye.
Bye.
See you next week.